Hi guys, my name's Ian. I'm a watch collector, oblique obsessive, and I live in Scotland. And today what I'm going to do is show you three of my watches. This is not your usual watch video where I have been sent a watch to review. It's not a review because by and large that's not the process that I use when I'm buying my own watches. As I say, I'm a collector, addict might be another word, and rather than looking at things logically, going to the shops, looking at manufacturers' websites and deciding whether I want the teal dial or the green dial and whether I want this and that and everything, I'm a bit more impulsive. And also I get wee obsessions, and there's an itch that you find you've got to scratch, and you do go on the websites, you do look at these reviews, you try and establish what it is that you're looking for, but most generally I get fed up before I've come to the end of that research process and I buy something. And then often before the first one's arrived, I will maybe buy another one. And then after a bit of time, I'm still not quite there as to doing exactly what it is I want, so I'll buy another one. And then fiscal reality hits, and I try to decide which one scratches the itch best, and I get rid of a couple of them, or in some occasions get rid of all three because the itch has been scratched. These are my own watches. I'm not sponsored in any way by any of the watch companies or anything like that, so I'll be as honest as I can. And being a bit of a watch nerd, some of my comments may be a bit cruel and unfair, but no, that's just how it is. And the particular itch that I decided that I wanted to scratch was an extreme dive watch, and that's, I don't know if that's the right term or not, but it's a watch which has a depth rating that nobody on this planet really needs. Is grotesquely excessive, but I felt having one would be cool, and I ended up buying three. I'm still at the process of making my mind up. I think part of it is that I was buying the watch as part of this thing in this pandemic year. I thought it would be really good for wearing when I'm on holiday on my boat or sitting beside the bar at the beach or something like that. No, we haven't had that opportunity all year, so I'm still waiting to test them in action. So you don't want to look at me, you want to look at the watches, so I will do a little bit of an unpack here. The first one is a Zelos. The unpack I will spend very little time on. My view on packaging is that watch companies, particular micro brands, have gone a bit overboard on that. It's certainly very nice to get nice packaging, but I would rather spend the money on the watch rather than a load of boxes. Like most collectors, I put my watches in a safe or in a watch box of my own somewhere because you fit more in, and you're left with all of these boxes which you need to find space for. You're paying for the additional postage of the boxes, and also when you come to sell it, you're paying for the additional postage of the boxes. And also there's this hostage to fortune. Many of my fellow watch addicts are a bit pernickety when it comes to getting the full set, getting the right hang tag that came with the watch, at least having it in the right box with the wee tools kit that came with it and everything. And of course you've got to find these things, and if you've lost it, it's no longer a full set, and that's a problem. So there's a large part of me would rather they just sent these things in a padded envelope. But anyway, this is the Zelos. The box is lovely. There is, inside it, even better, the watch roll. Now, the watch roll, I think, is a very practical thing, which is here you can use it for keeping your watch in, and there's also space for spare strap, etc. So there's the watch, there's the strap, and it all hangs together. And this is a Zelos watch. What I will be doing is I'll do the wrist shot first because I'm facing you, and then I'll turn the camera around and you can look at the watch in more detail. This is a Zelos Abyss 3. It is a 3,000 metre depth rating and is 43 millimetres in diameter. As it happens, the watches I've got have a good selection here. There's a one at 43 mil, one at 44 mil, and one at 45 mil. And there's also 3 different movements, and this is a Swiss Salita SW200 movement, but I'll come to it in a moment. Just to give you some idea for comparison, this is an Omega Seamaster 253180, and that's what I've been wearing today before doing this video, and that's how the two of them look together. So you remind yourself, that's what this looks like. I probably don't adjust my bracelets correctly. I probably have them slightly too loose, but that's my preference. I'll look at the strap detail and everything later, but just to give you an idea, this is the wrist shot with the Zelos. I think this is probably a little bit too loose. I did adjust it, but it has a micro adjustment, can be adjusted there. But that's it there. It's, no, big watch, big impressive watch. No, that's what it does. To say, this one, I think it's still got some plastic on it, but it's there. So I'll take that one off, and then I'll unbox one of the others. This is Helson Shark Diver 45, 45 millimeters. The box here is quite handy in that it's a waterproof box. It's got a little gasket at the top to keep it waterproof. It's handy if you're going sailing, and I sometimes do. It would be a useful kind of box to have. You could put whatever in it. You could put your watch in it, although why you'd want to put your incredibly waterproof 2,000 metre rated dive watch in a waterproof box to keep it dry beats me. This is the Helson. This one is black PVD. It's a nice watch, 45 millimeters in diameter, this one. And this one, they do these with the Miyota 9015 and with the Swiss ETA movement. This particular one has a Swiss ETA movement. It's a 2824-2 movement. All of the movements are hacking and are within reasonable accuracy. I put them on the time grapher when they arrive, and if it's more than sort of 10-15 seconds out, I will investigate, and all of them were well under that. So that's what that one looks like. I've been wearing this one a bit. It's still a little bit loose. I have a fear of tight bracelets. But no, it sits better than you think. With all of these watches, when you're wearing them, you find that they grow on you. But I'll come to that one in a moment. I'll just get this one off, and we can look at the front. And the final one is a much more reasonable sized box with consequently lower postage costs. This is a Borealis watch, which is a Borealis Seafarer 2. This is 44 millimeter and has a Miyota 9015 movement on it. I've been wearing this one a bit more than the others. Again, it's a bit loose on my wrist, but that's there. My wrists are 7.5 inches, by the way, so that's the comparison there. But I find this one sits all right. They all sit fine, and if you're wearing it after a short time, you don't notice anymore. So what I'll do now is I'll turn the camera around so that we can then go into the watches in a bit more detail. Thank you. So these are the three watches there. If you're a watch aficionado, you will have noticed that they're all, the second hands aren't quite in sync. Just stop is all I would say, and I try very hard to ignore these things myself without much success. This is the Zelos, which is the first one to look at. As I say, the Sellita SW200 movement. It has a date complication at 6 o'clock. Applied indices, very well put together. It feels an extremely solid watch. This is the black sand dial. There's a little mark there because I think it's actually still got the plastic on it. It's a domed sapphire crystal, and I just like the way that the second hand, it echoes the colours of the bezel. The dimensions, as I say, this is 43 millimetres. It's 18.5 millimetres in height, 51 millimetres lug to lug. I will try to show the, this is the Seamaster next to it, just to give you some idea of that for comparison. The watch has excellent loom. I will attempt to show that in a moment. It's also, it has the two crowns here, one of them being the helium release valve, which is an H, and the other being the standard crown, which you can pull out to set the date and time and also hand wind. The helium release valve is a manual helium release valve. As I'm sure all of you are aware, especially if you dive, the helium release valve is something which can be very useful in certain incredibly specific circumstances. I don't dive, which again is a reason why it's probably, there's no sense whatsoever to me having these watches. But as I understand it, if one is diving and one comes up to the surface, one has to stop for decompression. And if you're doing that in the normal way, a helium release valve is absolutely no use to you. Where it does come into play is if you find yourself needing to use a decompression chamber. And if you're in the decompression chamber, you and your watch are in a helium-rich, high-pressure environment for what can be lengthy periods of time. Helium molecules are very small and can seep through the seals of your watch. So that means that when you decompress, the helium inside your watch, which is at the previous pressure, has to get out, and in extreme cases, you can get an overpressure situation which blows the crystal out of the front of the watch. You wouldn't want that to happen, so you've got a little valve which you can release. Now, a lot of them are automatic. This one isn't, but you release it there and you don't have that problem. So that's the Zelos. It's a little bit, the sides, you notice the 18.5 millimetre in height. It has on the back what I think is some kind of etching of a bath escape. It says water resistant, 3,000 metres, and it gives you that in feet. It's a very nice bracelet, screwed links, solid links, good positive action in the clasp with a safety feature there. No dive extension. This is there's an extension so that you can make it bigger so it will fit over a wetsuit. I think I've still got plastic on this one. It doesn't have one of these. It's an extremely pretty watch and has real wrist presence. I do think that we are going through a bit of a golden age as far as mechanical watches are concerned with micro brands such as Zelos. I know that they are criticised for being derivative and not building the entire watch from scratch. But once one looks into it, apart from one or two very large multinationals, building a watch from scratch is not something that is done all that often. It's not the way that watch manufacturing works. Even with so-called in-house movements, quite a lot of the movement is actually sourced externally. If you're wanting an 8mm diameter cogwheel with 36 teeth in it, you'll buy one in. You won't make one yourself. Sometimes the in-house movement is a question of an addition to it, a module which is added on for a complication, or some decoration of the bridge and other work there. And to some extent, the skill of a watchmaker is in sourcing the materials in quality control in the overall design, and in accessing the skilled labour. And with our kind of globalised world now, the micro brands are in a great position to do that. And this one, I think it is a chap called Helson Tang in Singapore. He appears to be sourcing the cases. They are unique to him. The dials appear unique. These are applied golden indices. It's a class act, and we're getting it at an incredibly good price. And the movements, all of the movements I'm happy with. I used to be a bit of a snob. I collect mainly vintage watches, and I would only have Swiss movements. This one, as I actually had assumed it would be a Japanese Miyota movement. It turns out it's a Swiss Sellita. Great movement, great accuracy, ideal. So that's the Zelos. I'll put that to one side for a moment. Again, with these watches, because these are my own watches, I'm not selling them for a brand or anything like that. This one's actually out of stock just now. I think it was about $600 US when you could get it. Great value at that. They pop up a lot secondhand, given that people are going through the same iterative process of buying things as I do. So you will be able to get your hands on one. Some have very exotic dials with meteorite, etc. And they're certainly worth going for. So that's the Zelos. I'll put that one there. The next one is the Helson. Now this is the biggest watch. This is 45mm. The size-wise, it is 18 millimeters in height, so it's marginally less than the Zelos, although it seems to carry it a bit better. This has an automatic helium release valve here. Again, some very nice decoration on the back, which you can't really see here. And this has got a number, they are numbered cases. It's got some fish on the back. And sapphire crystal, and this is, it's got the type of movement. Some of these came with Miyota 9015s, and some with the ETA movement. As I say, in day-to-day life, I find that these three movements are all perfectly acceptable for me. If I want something that's accurate to better than a second a day, I'll look at my phone. I want a watch. I like mechanical watches, and you put up with the fact that it's not going to be as accurate as a quartz. But these ones, when I was wearing this, it would go for a week without me having to change it. This is a lovely dial also, not as textured as the Zelos. I was using it earlier today to time something in the oven, so such as lockdown, I will do. The bezel is 120 click, is very good positive action, as did the Zelos. That also has a very good bezel action. This one is in black PVD. The chap that I bought it from said that they only made about 20 or 30 of these in the world. You get them in steel, and I think you also can get them in titanium. I think these are still available, again, about the 650 US dollar mark. Again, screwed links, high quality bracelet. I'm not so keen on the catch, which is a bit old-fashioned. This is there. It's maybe just the type of thing, and again, no dive extension, no wetsuit extension on this. I say that with absolute confidence. But yes, there isn't one there, and 2,000 meters. Just to give you an indication of just how nonsensical the whole thing is, the depth record for scuba diving in the world is 332.55 metres, and that was attained in 2014 by a chap called Ahmed Gabr in Egypt. So you're not going to find yourself in a situation where you're hovering above the wreck thinking, oh, if only I'd worn my Helson 2,000 metre dive watch today, I could go down there and go down a little bit further. Any reasonably waterproof watch, a 300 metre dive watch such as the Rolex Submariner, is going to be perfectly adequate for just about anything you can throw at it. The only fun thing about these is that they are over the top. Sometimes it's enjoyable to have something which is over the top, and at 2,000 metres water resistance, it's going to take virtually anything you can throw at it. You can certainly wear it to the beach, wear it in sand, water, whatever, and next time you meet someone wearing a 300 metre depth resistant Rolex Submariner, you can ask with great solicitude if they are how they cope with only 300 metres water resistance. This is quite, it's got a good wrist presence, it's a classy watch. It somehow feels a bit more engineered than the Zelos, more of a tool, perhaps because the Zelos is very, very pretty. And this is more of a workaday useful thing. I have to say I like the black. It may be impractical to wear in very hot sunlight in Scotland. Given I've been stuck here for a year, I've not had any opportunity to test that out. But that is the Helson. It weighs in at 342 grams with the bracelet, which is quite a hefty watch. You are certainly going to feel the weight. The Zelos is only 281 grams, so it is a bit lighter. You do notice it with the Helson. But again, we are incredibly lucky for these micro brands. This one, I think, is also from the Far East somewhere. On their website, it simply says a group of enthusiasts who are into making dive watches. They appear to sell them on Amazon, so I think that they're in a micro brand, but a bit less micro than Zelos, and there isn't the same feeling in the chat rooms or whatever of them being quite so hands-on with Zelos and the other watch that I'll come to, Borealis. There's a feeling of being able to get hold of the owner of the company and ask them about your watches, which I don't think is quite the same with Helson, but I don't know. So I'll put that away, and the final one is this one, which is Borealis. Borealis are based in Portugal, run by someone called Maria, whose partner Carlos owns a watch company called Prometheus. And I have one Prometheus watch. I must confess I have a couple of Borealis watches because they're absolutely cracking value for money. So these are his and hers. Somebody described it as the same, that Prometheus is Rolex to Borealis being Tudor, and that kind of relationship. I must say I've not found that. I find the Borealis of very much equivalent quality to the Prometheus watches. The Prometheus watches tend to come with Swiss movements. The Borealis, most of them are Japanese movements. This is the Miyota 9015. Again, we're incredibly lucky to have these movements these days, and in particular, for years I was a bit sniffy with Japanese movements, but the thing about it is that with servicing costing so much, that the idea that when it comes time to have your watch serviced just because the oils have dried up or whatever, with a Miyota movement, you can just take the old one out and slot a new one in, and your watch is, as far as movement goes, as good as new. This one, this is rated to 4,000 metres. It's got umpteen fancy gaskets in it, which again is probably meaning that a service is not something you're going to undertake lightly. This has the date position at the conventional 3 o'clock position. I like the hands on this better than the others. No, these are, I think they're called plongeur hands, and the red there, I always think it's a good idea to have the minute hand properly delineated, and that's it. I don't care for Pepsi dials. This is not a Pepsi dial, but it's a bi-colour dial. The colour is more orange than the Pepsi red. It makes it a bit more in your face, and I think I would prefer the look of it with a blue dial, but when the urge takes one and it's late at night and you've been looking for one for ages, you press the button. This one is 44 millimetre, 15 millimetres thickness, or 15 and a bit. Again, it's got the automatic helium release valve, and again, absolutely cracking bracelet. On the back, it has a mermaid, which is the logo of the company, and it tells you what the movement is and what the depth rating is. The clasp is very nice. It says Borealis. This one does have a dive extension. It's got quite a snazzy dive extension, which is this, and you can also use that for micro adjustment. So this is quite useful. I actually like this class best of all three of them. I must say, I find this watch a lot more of a practical wearer than the other two. Somehow it seems in proportion. It is the 44 millimetres in width, 53 lug to lug, so it seems it's slightly longer than the other, 15.7 millimetres thick, and it has 24 millimetre lugs, which I think the Helson also does. So that's it. It's a good watch. I like this is a turbine bezel, and it's got absolutely great bezel action. Again, one way, I do find myself, when I'm wearing this one, using it for usually timing things on the cooker rather than anything more exotic. These are the things I don't like. The Helson date position, I don't think anybody likes. When I was showing it earlier, the minute hand was helpfully covering it, so I couldn't show it to you, but it's halfway between the 4 and 5. It's a stupid place to put the date, and it just makes it more difficult to read. Loom-wise, they've all got absolutely cracking loom. This is the thing there. I'll just put that on there for a second or two to show you. They all pass the test of waking up at 5:30 in the morning and looking at your watch and the loom is. It's actually too light here to see the loom in all its glory, but it is fairly spectacular. And with each of them, it is not just the dial or the indices that are loomed up, but you've also got the bezel as well. And if you are looking at it, you can very much see the whole thing. So that's it. The one I'm going to wear most is the Borealis, and that was the cheapest. I think you could get them at the pre-launch back in 2015 for $450 or so. They were $550, and now they're sold out. All of these, you can usually find them. You may not find the PVD Helson, but you will find them in all the usual places. And I hope that's given somebody some assistance. The Zelos, these slab size just make it, I think combined with the 43mm, that's the one most likely for the chop, although it's a cracking watch and I'm going to wear it for a bit to see if it's right. The Helson, it is a difficult one because it's a great watch, but I'm going to wear it in the sunshine and see if it does get too hot, and then I will possibly get rid of it. And the Borealis, at the moment, it's a keeper, but fiscal pressures are fiscal pressures, so you don't know. Thank you very much for watching. If you've liked this, please press subscribe to Scotch Watch Guy. Thank you. Bye.